one of the most scathingly funny people alive, Denis Leary leads little introduction. So I'm just going to keep it very short so we can let the madness begin. Arguably the creator of the dramedy genre with The Amazing Rescue Me back in the day, Leary describes himself, this is what Denis says of himself, as a 5-time loser for the Emmy Awards and Golden Globes, the star of the Fox military and family comedy Going Dutch that debuted its first season on January 2nd, goes on to say he has never won an Oscar, Tony, or an argument with his wife. Ladies and gentlemen, the executive producer and star of Going Dutch, Mr. Denis Leary. Exactly. How are you? All right, you're here. Before we talk, we're going to watch a clip.
2 years ago.
I don't think it was 2 years ago.
It was exactly 2 years ago. That's when I cut off contact with you. And you did not even notice?
Okay, I was busy saving America.
You should retire. You're already a legend. We studied your missions at West Point. And yet, you're still uniquely unqualified to command a service base due to the fact that you're a raging narcissist.
That is a terrible thing to say to your father, number one. Number two, specifically which missions of mine are they teaching at West Point?
Excuse me? What does XO stand for?
I'm commander of Hugs and Kisses.
Oh, nice.
It means executive officer.
What does a executive officer do?
I anticipate every problem, solve it efficiently. Then I leave without taking credit.
We provide services to combat bases.
I can do this too.
What are you talking about? This is a service base. It doesn't just become a combat base because you took a job out of spite.
I do everything out of spite. My body is 60% water and 40% spite.
Sorry to interrupt this very touching reunion. Just a reminder that you're both officers in a glass cube that everyone can see.
We were trying to leave the military out of it.
No. You need to bring the military back in, and you need to hold on to it for dear life. Just, yeah. Captain, you have concerns about the Colonel commanding Stroop store.
Yes, sir. I have an operation in motion that I have spent 10 months planning. Failure will destabilize relations in the region, and the Colonel's very presence could sabotage it.
Copy that, Captain. Please, brief us on the operation.
A bunch of us are marching in the Tulip Festival tomorrow.
What?
I didn't quite hear that.
A bunch of us are marching in the Tulip Festival tomorrow.
God, I feel like I'm with Eisenhower on the eve of D-Day.
It is our first ever invitation to the festival, and it's actually crucial to our diplomatic mission.
I led Operation Iron Hammer, Iron Saber, and Iron Justice. So I think I can handle Operation Tulip Festival.
Well, I think that you will break this place trying to fix it. And there's actually nothing wrong with Stroop's store.
Really? Can you show me one thing that's right about this
Place.
place?
Well, I can tell you a lot of things that are right about Going Dutch. So let's just start off with a couple of things for people. So this show, which, I mean, you can obviously see, it's got that whole Stripes and all those vibes to it, a classic, which is the sort of stuff you excel at. You know, I talked about Rescue Me in the intro, and I really believe that you guys invented dramedy with it.
We did.
Yes.
I invented dramedy. Where's my fucking trophy for that? Why isn't there an Emmy for inventing dramedy? Oh,
you know,
God.
Vince Gilligan likes it.
I'm putting it on my list.
Yeah.
Okay.
But for this, you know, you're clearly having a lot of fun on this. It feels to me watching this, is there a lot of improv going on here?
Yeah, I was gonna say, because I've seen this a million fucking times between editing and everything else, and I'm still laughing. I don't know if you've seen the show, but the woman who plays my daughter.
You haven't seen the show, you should see the show. It's on Hulu, by the way.
Yeah,
you can watch
Hulu.
all of it, season 1.
My daughter is played by this actress, Taylor Mishak, who's fucking hilarious. And Danny Pudi, a lot of people know from Community. He's amazing. We designed the show. Joel Church-Cooper, who's the showrunner, is a brilliant guy. He did Brockmire with Hank Azaria, among many other credits. We wanted to have great pages, but we also wanted to be able to improvise during every scene. So every day, throughout the day, we are coming in. He's bringing ideas, and the main actors are bringing ideas, so that we're doing the best stuff from the pages and then playing around. So when I was looking at that scene, there's a bunch of stuff that just came out of the moment with myself and Taylor, especially that argument before Danny comes in. We did, we don't do a lot of takes. I like to shoot fast, but there was so much. She's so good. That was the first day we shot. So having cast her, having seen her in Dave, she was great in Dave on FX, knowing how good she was, you don't know till they turn on the lights and it's time for the game to start. I was like, oh, God damn, I've got to keep up with her. Like, she was just throwing, there's a bunch of stuff in that scene that was just improvised. Anyways, we have a blast.
Does that make it, obviously you guys, your first season is completed, as I said, on Fox, but also all of it can be seen on Hulu. Does that make the process of making the show more fun for you, or does it make it harder at the back end because you've got to really kind of like stitch it together? Because some of this stuff you just guys came up with, and now you got to make it work for your story.
No, generally speaking, and we did this on Rescue Me. I did Rescue Me with a guy named Peter Tolan, who had done Larry Sanders with Gary Shandling. So they kind of did the same process there. Once we went to Rescue Me, the important thing is to identify the actor, even if in the casting process, I'd like to find out, can you improv or not? Now, sometimes, as an example, if you saw Rescue Me, there were a couple
I think you've seen Rescue Me,
okay.
correct?
So there was a couple of actors in Rescue Me who weren't great at improv, right? But they fit the part. And meanwhile, the cast was big enough that you were like, okay, I love an actor that says, I'm not great at improv, who's honest, right? Because that way you can go, okay, so when we're doing it, we're aware that we don't want that character to have to be that involved. So that's the most important thing. And once you know, on this cast, all the main people, there's Danny Pudi, Taylor Mishiak, this new kid from Australia, Hal Cumpston, who plays Papadakis, who's the heavy-set soldier. He's like 25. He's great at improvisation. Lacey Mosley, who's in that scene briefly. Everybody.
And of course, you have Catherine Tate and the great Joe Morton.
God, and Catherine Tate and Joe Morton. I mean, don't even get me started with those two. Everybody was capable of improvising, and I don't mean just sort of like masturbating improvisation where anybody can just be funny in front of a camera. I mean, within the scene and the setting and the character. And so I like that because we get good stuff. Sometimes you get bad stuff. It's okay. While we're doing it on the day, we all know, the other producers and Joel, the showrunner, and the other writers on set, we know which improvs are good. So even before we get to editing, we can identify, this was great, this part sucks, this part was good, And we also know within rehearsal and the first take, we shoot the rehearsal, we know which parts of it are working.
Now, Taylor says here in the clip we saw, she refers to her father, your character, the Colonel, as a great American war hero who basically shot his mouth off to the Joint Chiefs of Staff and has been relegated to the smallest and probably least appreciated American Air Force,
yes,
American military base in the world, which says a lot unto itself. I remember once interviewing someone who was in superhero movies. Actually, I'll just say it, Robert Downey Jr.
Great actor.
Yeah, I mean, what do I,
Talk about funny.
But he told me, he said, one of the things about those movies is if you put the outfit on,
yes,
you kind of get in it.
Yeah. Is
that true for something like this for you when you put on the outfit and all the medals?
Yeah, well, anything. I mean, once you put, I know most actors are like this in film and television, like even in the theater. Like once I'm a big prop guy. There's certain props even that the audience will never see that I want my character to have with him.
Like what?
Well, in this case, for instance, there was a challenge coin, a specific challenge coin that I wanted made that comes from my character's background, back when he was winning medals fighting in Afghanistan and Iraq. I wanted that in my pocket. The audience in season 1 never saw it, but my character would have that with him every day. So I always have something like that, or a ring, and so, like in Rescue Me, you're in uniform, right, in that show. When you put on the bunker gear, right, even as much training as you've done for the part, whatever, the day that you put it on, and we're shooting, like, you better look like a motherfucking firefighter, you know what I mean? And that show, we had real firefighters on set. We had real soldiers here. We shot part of the show on a real Irish Army base. Like, we're surrounded. They're over there drilling for real, with real weapons and tanks and everything. And we're over here pretending to drive the tanks. And so I think that to me, it's important. I think it's great for these actors as well. We hopefully look like soldiers, but
you certainly sound like one barking at everyone.
Yeah. Well,
but that's your brand, right?
Yeah, and also that's what I loved about. I developed this script my company developed it with Joel, and I wasn't set to play him. And Joel wrote 2 scripts from the idea. This is based on a real Army base.
Yeah.
This base existed in the Netherlands and was shut down because of the black market, because prostitution and drugs are legal in the Netherlands. So they had a problem on the American base there. This particular base was in charge of laundry for the other 32 NATO bases and cheese delivery and wine. And because it's
isn't that why we all sign up to fight
exactly,
for the Stars
right?
and Stripes?
Exactly, right? So they had to shut it down because there was some prostitution and some other things being sold on the
Besides
base.
cheese.
Yeah. So they shut it down. The base that this is based on has a big bunch of barbed wire and fencing around it. And they built a new base about 4 miles away, which now has the same problems. So Joel knew a guy that was stationed at the original base. That's where the idea came from, who had retired from the military, and he gave him the information, right? So we knew what that base was like, and the idea of taking a guy who's like a modern-day General Patton in his own mind, taking a guy from the battlefield who told the Joint Chiefs of Staff to basically go fuck themselves and got caught on camera doing it, and then sending him here is good. But the fact that his daughter is running,
it's those dynamics that make it work. And then you've also got Danny's character who basically cleans up all your messes.
Yes.
And he's like as he says in that clip, kind of the unsung hero. But there's the dynamic you have with Taylor. There's a dynamic you have with him. And then as the first season goes on, is the dynamic the two of them have of kind of dealing with you.
Yeah.
And part of that is, I know it's pretentious when people talk about it, but it's true. Like, there are character arcs, there are development arcs.
Yes.
Give us a sense of, if you haven't seen the finale, you should see it. I'll use the word cliffhanger because I can't think of another word, but there is a cliffhanger. Like, what's going to happen out of this, right?
Yeah.
Talk a little bit as we can, Dennis, about how you guys got from this, like, what could have just been a skit to got a whole series out of these relationships and the growing of these relationships.
Well, Joel, the showrunner, designed it specifically knowing, even though all the scripts weren't written by the time we started, because we also, what I like to do is let's get in there with the cast and see who pops, what relationships pop. As we're shooting the pages and improvising and doing all this stuff, you're going to find out certain actors and really pop together in scenes. So you want to write towards those relationships, right? But he knew he wanted to have that cliffhanger that's at the end. He already knew he wanted that. And then, like Hal Cumpston, who we cast as the rebellious, overweight soldier, like, we saw something in his audition where we went, oh my God, who is this kid? And when we brought him in, he's the youngest guy there. I think he felt a little like, wow, this is like the big time for him. But he didn't, as an actor, he was so brave, especially in the improvisation, that he was bringing so much, we were like, oh my God, this character is going to be bigger than we even thought. And my relationship with him developed pretty quickly. Once we got over and started rehearsing in Ireland, I was like, oh my God, I really like Hal as a guy, but also as the colonel, I was like, this guy's going to drive him nuts, which is, of course, in the first season, he does. So every time he
saves his ass a couple of times, too.
Yes. But when I was improvising with him, I never knew what the fuck he was going to say. So it was, there's so many outtakes of me improvising with him, and I just lose it.
You talked a little bit, and we really appreciate you being here, Dennis. A round of applause for Mr. Denis Leary.
Listen, Kathy Bates just walked out of here, I know. Even I was like, oh my God, that's Kathy Bates.
It's not very popular to quote Joe Biden right now, but to quote Joe Biden, take the win.
Yeah,
just take the win.
No, but man, did you see her shoes? How cool were those?
Yeah.
Oh my God, Kathy Bates?
I want to talk a little bit, not about Kathy Bates, but maybe we'll see you doing a Matlock cameo. You talked a lot about you guys filming.
I would love to do a Matlock cameo.
I mean, the gods could be kind. You talked about filming this in Ireland and about how you guys were on this old Irish, not old, but a working Irish Army base.
Yeah.
Do you think that helped make this work? Because you guys were kind of isolated. I mean, I know you like me, we have Irish background, but you were kind of isolated. You weren't in Boston, you weren't in New York. You didn't go home for dinner at night. You were there.
No.
How did that work, and how did that bring you guys, again, it's a word I hate, but bonding?
Well, it's really good because any army base anywhere, right, is usually, outside the city, that it's nearest to. And, they're vast spaces because they're big, there's the jet planes, the cargo planes, tank. It's usually a vast, pretty flat area that's very windy because there's not buildings around protecting you. So, when you get there and put the stuff on, and there's real soldiers there, not just advising you, but off in the distance, they're really drilling for something, right? You feel very intimidated. So you have to, especially when you put on, the uniforms in the morning and go through hair and makeup, you're like, God damn it, I know we're supposed to be funny, but we're also supposed to be soldiers. So that's part of it. It's also, we're all dressed that way. Mm-hmm. So, even if we're just in the hair and makeup trailer, we're generally in our uniforms and we're going over the lines for the day or the ideas for the scenes or whatever. It's a constant reminder. Also, I have to say, we have so much, even the military people that were advisors for the show and the people that were helping out were laughing. So that was a good sign to us that we were making them laugh with our hijinks.
You made us laugh, Colonel. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Denis Leary.